I'm Bee, and I hope that y'all are having a beautiful day. In this video, I am going to be doing a sketchbook spread, and I hope that you stick around to see the whole video. Alright, I am drawing a face. That is the first thing that I add to this spread because I wanted to draw some things that I enjoy drawing, which is faces, but then I decided I wanted to do some reference drawings, so the next drawings that I do, you'll see them, and I used reference for those. I found my references on Pinterest. Oh, yes, I know you're wondering. The pencils that I use in this video are Crayola erasable colored pencils, and you know, they're cheap. You can get them pretty much anywhere, and they make for incredible thumbnail sketches, first sketches when you're getting the layout down and you need something that erases easy, and maybe you're a little heavy-handed like me and you want something that isn't gonna dig deep into your paper, because you'd have to press super hard to get these to do that, because you have to press hard to get them to put down any pigment anyway. So, but they erase like surprisingly really beautifully, and yeah, I love them for this initial sketching phase. I will brag about them all day. I mean, I'm not going to, because you guys don't want to hear that this entire video, but I definitely love using them. I don't think I've used a pencil by itself in ages. I only use it now on top of my erasable colored pencils to get like the finer details, because the waxiness of them, they don't like to do the little bitty details, but they're great for the overall picture. I think out of all the characters that I drew on this 2-page spread, this one is one of my favorites. I just like how the end picture turned out, so you'll see that later. And if you guys have different favorites, that's fine too. There's another one that's probably my other favorite, which is also on this page. It's the one that is going to be below the floating head. You'll see it not next, but the one after that. And I think they turned out pretty cute. I definitely like how this one ended up, and I tweaked some things on the reference photo, so it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close because I did use the reference. So using references is very helpful for the anatomy part, because I'm not an expert. I don't know exactly what each muscle looks like under the skin or anything like that. Don't worry though, I have definitely been trying to study and learn these things because I do want to improve in my art, but I also know that just because my art's not perfect doesn't mean that I shouldn't or can't share it with other people. But I think the community is another fun thing about having all these artists. You know, not everybody's gonna draw the same, and not everybody's gonna be on the same skill level, and we can still communicate and still learn together, and it's really exciting. So I do hope that quite a few of you really, I mean, I don't mind reading through them, even if it takes me a little while. I really do want people to comment and talk to me about art. It would be great. I know that I could stand to improve, so if you have constructive criticism, please feel free to comment that as well. I chose purple because some of the other erasable pencils, they look fine in person, but trying to get them on video is nearly impossible. Like if I used the pink or the blue instead, it wouldn't have shown up as well. I think I ended up adding bangs, which is not surprising at all. I definitely love adding them to characters. I think I end up adding bangs to most of these characters. I don't even know if you would always technically call them bangs, but I definitely usually put hair on the forehead and around the ears especially, just because I think it's really cute. So I always do that. It's just something that I like to add. Something else that I used to add that I don't really do much anymore is accessories. I do add like jewelry, like body piercings and like earrings and things like that, but I really want to try getting and adding more hats and stuff to just personalize the characters a little bit more and give them more personality, because I think accessories really does like really adds to a character, and you could still leave other things pretty plain like their hair or their eye color and things like that. Also, I like that I decided to leave her hair up instead of trying to put it down, just because I think the kind of messy down, not very high up bun fits with her whole aesthetic, I guess. It's very loungy, very tired college kid, and I really like it. I think it's neat. That pose that she was in was also pretty fun to draw. And moving into the next one, I like this pose, but it was also difficult. So while I did enjoy drawing it, it was challenging and it was a little bit of a learning curve, I think. I kind of had to guess on some things because I didn't quite, like from the reference photo, I couldn't quite see some parts of the body, so I had to make assumptions, which is fine. It's helping me learn, helping me to practice and better my art, so I enjoy it, even though I didn't quite like how this one turned out compared to some of the other ones. I do think that the pose is somewhat interesting, though. She's not just standing straight looking at the camera, and she's not just sitting right forward, she's not sitting cross-legged or anything like that. So, she's kind of leaning. You do get to see her hand on her face, so that's her hand's not hiding anywhere. So that was kind of fun, little challenge for me. I don't draw a whole lot of hands, so this definitely helped me practice that, so that was nice. I also think out of all of the drawings that I did on these 2 pages, I think this one might have been the second most difficult. It's definitely the one that I spent the most time on. I think it was one that was a little bit challenging to get it to look the way that I wanted it to say the least. But there's one that I do on the second page that I would say is the difficult one. The only other thing that I would say negative about these pencils is that you do have to sharpen them a good bit, and they did end up breaking my last sharpener just because they're pretty hardy, but I really do like them and they're not expensive, so they work for me. Recording this whole process was definitely something that was new, but drawing both spreads in my, or both sides of my sketchbook pages, I haven't really done that in a while, like back to back, drawing all that. So it was definitely fun. Uh, I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but it really was a relaxing process despite how much I had to go back and fix things. But it's part of the process, you win some, you lose some. You'll see I just erased it and now I'm redoing it again. And I think I ended up doing that 2 or 3 times, just because this one in particular was definitely a bit finicky with me. So, but I did end up liking the end result. I wouldn't say that I like this one more than some of the other ones, but by the end of it, when she's got color on her, and not the end of this video, but by the end of the illustration, when she has color on her and it's all one one piece, I feel like she really didn't turn out too shabby. Even though I did go back and redraw this quite a few times. I don't think I changed a whole lot, but it helped to take the pigment off to be able to go back and tweak things that I did actually want to change. It is totally okay to have to go back and fix things multiple times. I don't think that you have to strive to have everything perfect the first time. I mean, that's why there are sketch layers. You know, you don't jump straight into it expecting it to be perfect right off the bat. And I think that's another thing that I really enjoy about art, because when I was younger, I used to have a hard time enjoying things if I wasn't immediately good at it. So even though I had this feeling about everything else that if I'm not immediately good at it, I'm gonna have to put in so much work to get good at it, I would just give up because I was too scared to pour my heart into something, and I was afraid that even after I put all the work into it, I was afraid I still wouldn't be any good at it. But I really don't feel that way about art. Art really felt like something that I could pour myself into and I could see the results. Because even though it took time, I did see the results. You know, I saw what my work was getting me. I knew that if I put the work into it and tried to be better, I could see that I could get better. And I don't know. I don't know why I didn't connect that with other things. I mean, now as an adult, I realize that, you know, if you want to be good at something, you have to work for it no matter what it is. But when I was a kid, I wanted so desperately to be good at art. And it definitely wasn't in any way that I was good at art in the beginning, and that's why I wanted to keep striving to better my art. I started out really rough. I was in, like, so many people are like, why do you even waste your time? That's terrible. And I kept going, not because I thought that, oh, I can be a great artist one day, I can sell art, which, I mean, obviously, yes, ultimate dream. But it was just simply that I really loved doing it, even though I was terrible at it. Even though I felt bad about the things that people were saying, and I felt that my art wasn't as good as my friends or my family's art, because I knew other people when I was younger that were into art. And none of that mattered because art wasn't something that I needed to have instant gratification from. I just needed to create. I needed to make something, and that was all that mattered to me. Not that they didn't like it, not that they thought I was never gonna be able to do anything with it, and I might not, you know, and that's okay because at the end of the day, I'm still gonna make it because art is something that makes me happy. And it makes a lot of people happy, and we don't have to explain it to anybody really. I choose to because I think it's important to realize that even if you're not immediately perfect at something, it's okay to enjoy that anyway. It's okay to want to be a professional swimmer and not know how to swim right now. You just have to keep working at it because you can get there. And it's okay to have to take baby steps to get where you want to be. It's okay to not immediately jump right in because none of us start out knowing how to read or write or knowing how to talk or knowing how to walk or feed ourselves. We have to learn those things, and so we have to learn the other things that we want to be successful at too. And I think people forget that, and we give ourselves a lot of grief over not being perfect, not having our art look exactly the way that we want it to right now. Growth and change is all a part of life though, so I hope that I never stop growing and changing as a person or as an artist. I don't want to be stale. I definitely want to continue to be better and lift others up, not only through how I treat people, but also through my art. I realize that I have not talked much about this character that I'm working on, and now I'm almost finished with her, but This one is probably my favorite out of all of them. Other than the second one that I drew in this spread, that one's probably tied with this one. But how she ended up at the end, not of this video, but of the illustration, she ended up looking really cute, and I do like how the sketch turned out. So once I finish this sketch, you'll see her, and I think she turned out pretty cute. The next one after this one is going to be a pretty difficult pose, so just bear with me because I believe I redraw that one a few times as well. This one that I'm currently working on, though, was one that I got done with surprisingly fast. I thought that this one would be as difficult as the last one just because the pose was a little complex, but at the same time, she's sitting pretty forward. And here I'm starting on I'd say the most difficult pose out of this entire spread. This one definitely gave me the most trouble, and I definitely had a hard time with it. I'll be honest, I didn't really like this one at the end. I'd say this one is actually my least favorite out of all of them because I really just didn't feel like I captured the essence of the model that I was using. She really had quite an action packed pose, and even the expression that she had, though it was pretty not plain, but she wasn't doing a heavy emotion or anything. It was still had a lot more flow than my drawing seemed to have. In the future, I wouldn't mind going back and trying to do this pose again just to see if I can get it to look the way that I want it to. And really, I think that's a fun way to practice and to study and get a little bit better, is to use the same reference photos and try to draw them like 2 or 3 times, and then on like the next page you could try to draw them from using your own art as reference, which some people I'm sure would not agree with that, but I think it's fun. I think it helps you loosen up, because those first two are going to be kind of stiff because you're looking at a photo and you're using a reference, and so after you've drawn it a couple times and you're a little familiar with the pose, then you try to do it from your own head, using your drawings as reference to help guide you, not really as like a reference you would use like you are on the first two. And I think it would be fun to try that. I will have to do that sometime. I think it'd be a lot of fun just to see if, after giving it a few tries from the reference, if I can emulate it from my mind in a way that I like better, in a way that I think it might end up being a little bit more fluid. I don't know though. I'll have to just try it and see and let you guys know what I think. If you've tried this, let me know what you think. I think it'd be fun. I don't think it'd be a big deal. Yeah, I'm gonna try it sometime. So you can see that this pose is a lot more action-packed than the other ones were, so I think that's part of the reason that it was a bit more difficult. I haven't really done a lot of props and things like that, so I think the addition of the bow and arrow was definitely a little learning curve, but I 100% need more practice with objects as well, so I'm really glad that I ended up doing this one, even though it was a lot more difficult than the others. Oh, I think this is where I realized that the legs were way too long for her body, and I completely erased them and put them back, but hopefully less lengthy, because she was basically a human granddaddy long legs. She was very, very long legs. Legs for days. Part of me feels like I just drew the legs back the exact same way, so I don't know. I hope I didn't. I don't think. Oh, no. It kind of looks from this angle like I might have just drawn them back the same length. I really hope not. I did not like how long those legs were. They were ridiculous. I finally got her little little tummy there looking not so weird. The first few times I tried to draw it, it looked really odd, and I didn't want her to look weird. She had a little tiny, I'd call it a pooch. It was just a little tiny pooch on her tummy where her, organs are at. But yeah, I definitely wanted to keep it in the final drawing because I really thought it was cute on the model, and I didn't want to leave it out because everybody has different bodies, and I didn't want to change hers. I thought she was really pretty, and I wanted to keep her looking body shape wise as similar as I could. So that's what I did. I think the character I do after this one is probably another one of my favorites. He ended up really cute. I like the way that he turned out. I like his hair and the pose that he's in and the outfit that he ended up being in. I also like that I decided to put a braid on this character. I think that it looks really cute with the overall design, though I honestly wish that I had decided to put her in a different outfit and not just leave her in the one piece that the model was wearing. I do like that I left the body type the same, but I wish that I chose a different outfit for her because I don't feel like it looks like I did a figure drawing and not drawing different characters because I didn't include a different outfit. I'd say this one by far is the one that I am the happiest at the end result. He looked so cute by the end of the spread, and out of the sketches, he's definitely the best one. I wouldn't say that he would like the final illustration with all the color and everything. I wouldn't say that he was the best one just because I ended up painting that half of the spreads because I wanted to do alcohol on one side because I do alcohol markers, and then I also do paint, and those are the two medium that I use the most for coloring my sketches. But I really didn't like the way the paintings turned out, so I ended up pretty disappointed with that half of the spread, and I don't know if I'll end up actually posting that video just because of how disappointing the painting turned out. I can't say that painting is something that I'm like super new at or anything because I have done quite a few paintings, but I don't normally paint my characters. When I paint, I usually do scenery, and if I do paint my character, it's usually pretty simplistic, so I won't be too harsh on myself over it because it was something that I don't normally do. It is definitely good to try new things, but it's also okay to not want to share something that you're not happy with. I I don't think that you should be upset with everything that you create just because it doesn't go the way that you want it to. But at the same time, none of these sketches turned out exactly the way that I wanted them to. I'm okay with sharing them because I feel like even though they didn't turn out exactly the way that I wanted them to, they turned out okay, and I'm okay with sharing that because even though they're not perfect, they're okay. However, I don't feel the same about the painting. I feel like the painting isn't something that I should post because it doesn't reflect my ability. It's, in my opinion, at a lower quality than I feel like I can produce, and I don't feel like nitpicking at it is gonna make it any better. But I don't want to show it because I know that I can do a better painting, if that makes sense. Now, if you guys decide that even though I think it's a bad painting, that it's still something that you would like to see, feel free to let me know in the comments, and I may still post it just, to show that, hey, I definitely make mistakes too. But unless it's specifically something that you guys would enjoy watching, I personally don't want to share it just because I know that it's not reflective of the time and the energy that I've spent bettering my ability at painting. I always finish my tangents just enough to catch the end of the drawing that I'm currently working on to be able to talk about it a little bit. I like how this one's outfit ended up. I could have changed it up, could have put him in shorts. I think the model was wearing shorts actually, but I didn't want to. I wanted to put him in something that was a little bit more on the warmer side because it is getting to be cold out, and it is definitely getting to be cold out where I am at. If it's not cold where you're at, that would be cool. I'd like to hear about that. My plants definitely do not like the lack of sun. I really like the fact that I ended up giving him fluffy hair. I wish that I had looked up some references and went with something more curly, but I think the finished product had a little bit more of that than this sketch does. And you can see I'm moving on to the next one. I do end up changing the position of this one a bit. I changed the pose up from the reference as well, because I think the reference had the leg, and I'll draw it starting out here, but I end up moving, yeah, the leg is kicking out in the reference, and I end up changing it because it's too squashed on my page, and I want to make it fit without having to cut another one off like I did the one with the bow. I am definitely glad that I decided to change it though, because I did not in any way want her squished and her leg being cut off in the frame, so I'm glad that I decided to bring that leg down and change up the position. It also gives me an opportunity to draw without using the reference exactly, so I change that leg and I don't look up a different reference to position the leg. I just tweak it and try to visually look at it and decide if it looks, somewhat right or if it looks wonky or anything. This, as you could probably tell from the paper, is the last full body figure that I end up adding to the spread, though I do go in and add another face at the end in that empty spot, and it's just from my head, just a quick face doodle, just to give myself a little treat at the end of the sketchbook spread, a little something something that I genuinely really enjoy just doodling. I do like drawing full figures, don't get me wrong, but it is a little intimidating when you aren't familiar with every little detail. Making this video has honestly been a lot more fun than I expected it to, and I thought it was going to be fun, but it's been more fun than even I imagined. I really enjoyed doing a full spread and recording it so you guys could be there, and hopefully you sketched along with me and just enjoyed creating some art, and hopefully you uh, enjoyed it as well, and I hope that you liked it, and if you did like it, I hope that you feel free to let me know down in the comments, and if you want to subscribe, you can do that. I am also going to see if I can't include some Amazon links for you guys if you want to get any of the supplies that I'm using or anything that I could find that was similar, because I do try to stay on the cheaper side of things, because I'm not made of money. I don't have the money to go and spend hundreds of dollars on fancy supplies. I will definitely see if I can't find some supplies that I'm using, and if I can't find the exact ones I'm using, I'll try to find a similarly priced alternative. I really am glad that I decided to change the position of that leg, because oof, it was rough. I really do hope that you guys enjoyed watching this and listening to me ramble on about things. I would like to know if in future videos you all would prefer me doing a video like this where I'm kind of talking about the art and my opinions on things involving art, and if you'd also be interested in me doing like a draw and chat with me video where I draw and don't necessarily talk about the art, but I could do a story time thing. I can tell a story about, maybe some of my personal things that I've gone through involving art. It doesn't have to be involving art. We can discuss difficulties with life, work-life balance, self-care, balancing that with everything else in life, remembering to take care of yourselves and things like that, which are difficult. So if you're interested in having somebody to discuss that journey with, I really wouldn't mind. I'm not an expert by any means, but I definitely do understand how those things can be difficult. Those things can be especially difficult if you don't have any kind of support system, or if you aren't supporting yourself. And a lot of people feel like if they're not being productive 24/7, then they're not doing a good job. And while I do think it is important to be productive, I don't think productivity is more important than your health. If you are putting being productive over your health, then how are you going to continue to be productive? How are you going to take care of the people that need your help, or take care of, maybe you have plants, or maybe you have pets, or maybe you just have dreams? You can't take care of your dreams if you are not taking care of you. As I am approaching the end of the video, I would like to finish this out by saying that I hope that each and every one of you decide today to spend some time on yourselves, to spend time getting to know yourself, to spend time taking care of yourself, and just focusing some energy on you instead of everything else around you. May this video find you well, and I hope that you have a really fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for joining me.